This is outstanding. At the top of the show, I must have missed this. You know, you guys said you went to Michigan State and you also went to the same high school. I didn't realize that you were in the same graduating classes.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Both years now.
And so, Skip, always trying to stir up trouble at the debate desk. I said to Derrick, well, tell me something about Jamel. I wouldn't know. And he said, I'll tell you this. She was a great athlete in high school. And Skip just coyly sneaks in there. Better athlete than you in high school, right?
Instigator.
You
I was trying to
troublemaker.
start something.
And she said yes.
I did not say that.
All right, let's do second down. Tiki has been gone for 4 years, Tiki Barber. But now he says football needs, I need football more than football needs me. He hit rock bottom, has gone through quite a bit of turmoil after his playing career ended. Let's take a look at what he is saying about his post-football life. I need to prove to myself that I can be successful at something. I know I'm going to be successful as a football player. He went on to say, I don't know why. The odds say no. I'm 36 and I haven't played in 4 years, but I just know. The interesting thing here is he's actually younger than Derrick, who's 37 and still playing at a very high level in the NFL. What's your reaction to Tiki's quotes?
My reaction is that I don't really have a lot of sympathy for him. And I know that sounds really harsh to say, considering I don't want people to think that I'm not taking depression seriously. I know it's a very serious issue for millions of Americans in this country. But for him specifically, when you look at the sort of classless way he left the Giants, some of the shots he took at them once he left, and then, yes, his personal life, how he handled his divorce and that situation is an issue. And it all leads to, now that you've lost everything, as he admitted, he lost a $2 million a year job. And yes, I'd be depressed if I lost that too. Now you want everyone to feel sympathetic, because it sounds like he needs football for the paycheck as opposed to needing it because he loves the game. Now, again, maybe I'm being a little bit too harsh, but I just didn't have a lot of sympathy upon hearing his comments.
All right.
I just think it's a safe haven for him. Football is. You know, you wonder why coaches retire and then they come back to, you know, to coach again,
right,
because they're familiar.
Right.
That's their grounds, and I think Tiki's the same way. I'm a little bit more sympathetic than Jamel is toward him, what he's been through as far as his personal life, and then what he's been through his professional life. But I think football for him is a safe haven. He can go back and be himself, and I think he will get an opportunity to play. Where, I don't know.
Would you be willing to welcome him back? I know he didn't walk out on your team, so your comments are just from a fellow player. But he left the Giants. They went on to win the Super Bowl that next year. And as Jamel said, he took some shots at them. He said that they were void of leadership. He took some shots at their head coach. Would you be willing to let him back into your clubhouse after some of the things he said? And
that'd be harsh, because you got to understand, a lot of those guys that he left, a lot of them are, some of those guys are still there.
There's a few,
mainly Eli.
Right.
And I think what really hurts him is that he left and they won a championship.
Sure.
I think that really hurts him. But if he was on the team with me and he said some of those things about our quarterback and some of the people inside that locker room, it would be very hard to kind of let him back in.
I respected the fact that I thought Tiki made the exact right choice, a choice you're going to have to deal with coming up soon here, which was to walk away really while he was still in his prime. That last year, he was pretty good, 1,662 yards, and he walked away pretty healthy. And that was his big push, was I'm going to beat the system here. I'm one running back. I'm going to literally walk away. He overestimated his ability as a TV personality, because while he was great talking to the New York media about himself or his team, I didn't think he was very good talking about other teams on a national
NBC
stage.
Overestimated it
and then
too.
they put him in a non-sports situation, and he was really in over his head there, and then he compounded it with the scandal on top of a failing or fading TV career, and now you're doomed and you're forced back into football.
Well, maybe he should have took the Barry Sanders approach and just retired and not said anything. And just went about your life, and Barry's doing just fine. But he didn't take that approach. He took shots at his former players, and things didn't work out for him on television.
That's true.
So maybe he should have took the Barry Sanders approach.
The larger question here is for you. You are a year older than he is, than Tiki is. When do you know when to say when? When do you know it's time, I got to walk away? Or do you make them make the decision? Do they force you out?
I think as an athlete, you never want the higher above to make that decision for you. For me, it's when I stop having fun, I'm done.
You've talked about
exactly.
it.
When
right?
if I'm not out there having fun, I wasn't having fun a few years ago.
Right.
Because say you almost retired.
Well,
Exactly.
you did actually say that you were done, and then you came back, although you never missed any action.
Yeah,
my memory is right.
Absolutely. I never missed any significant time.
Right.
But when you're not having fun out there, it makes it very hard to go out there and practice, let alone play, but practice.
Right.
And that's the bulk of the season is practice. So if you're not having fun, then there's no need for you to be playing.
So how many more years do you think you can go?
I'm just taking one by 1 year.
Yeah, let's take one at a time.
Exactly.
The question with Tiki, and this is the $64,000 question, because general managers are ultimately going to have to make a decision as to whether or not he can play. He hasn't taken a hit in a long time, but he is 36 at a position where your prime might be 24. Can he still play in the National Football League?
It's going to be hard. I think he can. There's a place for him. Is he a every down back? Is he a 20 carry back? No, I don't think he is. Maybe 10 to 15 situational, but can he come in and help a team win some ball games? Of course. Like you said, the average lifespan of a running back is in their 20s, mid to late 20s. After that, they consider you old.
Yeah. History, NFL history, or in the history of the NFL, it hasn't been kind to running backs over 30.
Right.
And the good thing for him is that because running backs seem to be used and discarded and they're very injury prone, just given the nature of what they play, there's going to be some space for him somewhere, maybe not, as you said, as an every down guy, but as someone who can come in and contribute. But it's going to be tough because I think that him taking shots at the Giants, that is going to reflect poorly on his character. And if you are a leader for any football team, you're going to think, do I really want this guy on my team, knowing that he can be somewhat disingenuous?
Yeah. He's got one shot with Rondé in Tampa.
Yeah.
Because Rondé would help him sort of soothe the feelings, get him back into the locker room culture. And I want to say one thing about these two Barbers. They got big wills. That they have been doubted from the time they were 3 years old up. And I don't write either one of them off. And I think it could be a break for him that he missed the last 4 years, because I do think he'll be a little fresher. And I promise you, if he puts his mind to this, no one will get in better shape than he'll get in to come back and do this. Now, will he play special teams and do all the little things? I don't know. Well, that's tough, man.
See, that's going to be the question.
Yeah.
Is he going to play special teams?
He'll probably have to, won't he?
Yes.
Yes, he will.
He has to put his ego aside and say, well, if I'm going to be on a team, I got to play some type of special teams.
Do you think he's willing to do that?
I think he is, judging by his comments. I think he's willing to do whatever it takes to be on somebody's team.
The other interesting thing here is there's sort of a test case in that he's a twin, and his twin is in terrific shape at 36. So, I mean, from a genetic standpoint, you know you're getting somebody who, as you said, he'll come in and he will look the part.
He will look the part, and he will act the part.
All right. That's it for Second Down. We are back to the debate desk a little after the top of the hour for Third Down. Yesterday seemed to be a coronation of Rory McIlroy. So with Tiger Woods on the sidelines, what do these guys make of the public's reaction to McIlroy's dominance of the PGA Tour? We'll have that conversation. Also ahead, before he was a national champion, Kemba Walker danced at the Apollo and sealed his reputation on New York City's rough and tumble city parks. Up next, Walker gives us a one-on-one tour of the places he called home. And did you happen to see the Washington Wizards point guard, John Wall, throw out the first pitch at a Nationals game over the weekend? If you haven't, you'll really want to see it, and it's coming up next.